Are you a Platinum Plus immigrant? I am clutching my pearls about Trump's new gold card, green card. I have never seen anything like this, and it feels like a spoof, but no, this is real. Yesterday in the Oval Office, Trump and his Secretary of Commerce, Lutnick, gave an interview to the press on February 25th, where they discussed this brand new plan, which he assured us is already legally worked out. Anyone could have done it if only they'd had this brilliant idea themselves. As an immigration attorney, I am really curious about the details, and I actually got a full copy of the interview from the Palm Beach Post. I highly suggest you watch the whole thing through. So, this is basically an idea to ditch the existing green card plan that we already have for rich people to invest in the U.S. It's the EB-5, requires usually $1 million investment, in some cases an $800,000 investment into a project that will end up employing people. There has been some talk about it being wasteful, that it's an investment and you can get your money back, that it's maybe not as high of a dollar amount as it should be, whatever. That said, Congress has authorized it. It's on the books. It exists, and it can't immediately be taken away just because the president doesn't like it. It would be Congress that has to stop it, because we did just have the EB-5 Reform and Integrity Act only in 2022. We are authorized and stuck with the EB-5 for a while. Not that the Trump administration couldn't throw a lot of wrenches into it, since they do control visa issuance through the State Department. So this one, the big difference, okay, so we're going from $1 million to $5 million. It was light on detail when Trump talked about it, but it also had some really interesting nuggets in there. So the main point would be that this money would not be for an investment. It would just be straight up give to the government. I have never seen any government official discuss buying and selling visas. Actually, that's not true. I used to be a consular officer, and we were trained very carefully to avoid corruption. You cannot sell visas. You cannot accept bribes for visas. You cannot do anything that looks corrupt, that looks bad. That was in the old United States policy, and it looks like we're turning a page. We are flagrantly selling these visas. Trump speculated in the video that if 10 million people took up this amazing offer, that, we'd have so much money that there'd be no more deficit. And in fact, the rest of us wouldn't have to pay any taxes. I said some really wacky things that are not consistent with current law, such as that they would not have to pay taxes on their overseas earnings, even though the rest of us do, both lawful permanent residents and citizens. He also said that he doesn't need Congress to approve it because Congress only is in charge of citizenship, not the card. That is not consistent with current law, and current law can't change unless Congress changes it. President can't change the law by saying his new ideas on TV. We have a bucket of green cards. The way they are allocated is controlled by Congress. The last time that Congress changed the number of how many green cards they're giving out was back in 1990. Other presidents have had ideas about their own immigration priorities, and those ideas have even reached the stage where they're letting people in. Here's an example. How did all these people that we now call illegal immigrants or undocumented, that were actually admitted under Biden's administration because of these humanitarian parole programs? So those were specifically set out for people from Afghanistan, Ukraine, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela. In addition to those, we've got TPS, which covers many hundreds of thousands of people from countries where the United States decided before, because of disasters or extreme hardship or the impossibility of deporting people to those places, that we would give some kind of humanitarian relief where we would allow people to stay and work and protect them, for the most case, from getting deported. Well, we're seeing right now how that goes when you get a new president in with a new priority, because all those people with TPS all those humanitarian parolees. Let's talk about all the DACA people, which were all the way back to Obama, the childhood arrivals. They don't have a green card path. Just because the president wants them to stay does not mean they get a green card. A green card is for lawful permanent residents. Once you have a green card, you are on a direct path to citizenship. If you can't get a green card, you can't get citizenship. So setting aside people who get citizenship through birth or derivative citizenship from family. You can be here legally with a work permit, and the president likes you, and the president wanted you to be here, and you're not protected. You're not on a path to a green card, you're not on a path to citizenship, unless Congress has such a path for you. The Commerce Secretary also suggested that this would be not just a replacement for the EB-5 investor visa, but also for the diversity. He didn't actually use the word that diversity visa lottery, but that is another bucket of green cards that we do give out historically, and according to Congress, 50,000 a year visas that are given out through people that enter a lottery. And that's not the only qualification that you're a person, but the qualifications are pretty low. It's not based on having family here. It's not based on having a job offer here. So it's an interesting thought. And I think I've already thought about this more than anybody in the Trump administration. But what would that look like to reallocate the diversity visas toward the rich people, the wealthy gold card people? What would that look like? We don't know yet. So this has given us so much to think about. One thing that I've been thinking about is Trump really speculates that maybe 10 million people would take him up on this $5 million visa. What would it look like in the U.S. if 10 million rich foreign people did move into all of our most expensive and desirable metropolitan areas? What would it do to the value of housing in the best neighborhoods in these metro areas? Because although the idea is, hey, these people are rich, so they're automatically going to give us all jobs and we can just suckle at their tea, it'll be great. Actually, it would be so interesting to see what rich people would do when they're competing directly for university admission, getting their kids into the best preschool, getting their kids horseback riding lessons, and getting that coveted, desirable house in Miami or New York or LA or whichever other metro, when we've got a flood of rich green card purchasers. We've never seen such a thing. We have saw friction. What happens when you let in a bunch of poor people and you don't have the infrastructure to house and educate them and help them get into the labor market? What would it look like if we do the same thing when in a smaller, well, not really even a smaller scale? If we're really talking 10 million, that's similar to what Biden did, letting in 10 million people who want asylum. So what would it look like? I bet you wouldn't be able to cram entire families into a hotel room. I don't think that they would be as under the radar as a group, staying out of things, minding their own business, and trying to just integrate and get jobs the way we've seen with all the humanitarian parole people. So that is an interesting thought experiment. And I'm waiting anxiously to see more in writing about what this plan entails. I bet you there are so many people who heard this for the first time when it was on live television and are now scrambling to make some kind of legal argument that this could actually work. So stay tuned, America.